Welcome to Chapter 6 of the book series Exploring What Happened to You by Dr. Bruce Perry and Oprah Winfrey. This chapter is titled From Coping to Healing, and it focuses on the impact of early childhood neglect. Dr. Perry explains that neglect is most destructive early in life when the brain is forming connections and needs stimulation for normal development. This really goes back to Chapter 3, How We Were Loved. There are different types of neglect. The most common form is fragmented, inconsistent caregiving. Another form is splintered, where one important domain is ignored. The example Dr. Perry gives for this type is about a mother with 5 kids who loved them deeply and emphasized education to a high standard. They were all academically advanced from her homeschool teaching. The problem was that they were made to stay stationary. They didn't develop motor skills. These kids were loved and nurtured, but they were neglected because they didn't develop the necessary motor skills needed. Another form of neglect to pay attention to is when the caregiver is distracted and looking at their cell phone, or generally looking away from the child rather than being present. The impact of a caregiver who is looking away, being distracted, or looking down at a phone is that the child internalizes this to mean that they aren't important enough to keep that caregiver's attention. Think about how it feels when you are with someone and they look away from you, they check their phone. Remember, we need to relate to regulate. The infant's capacity to be empathetic and nurturing, to feel love, depends on the nature, quality, and number of loving interactions they experience early in life. These practices have been shown to impact the insular cortex of the brain. This is where mind and body unite. It integrates external sensations with internal sensations. It is involved in feeling emotions physically. It also gives rise to our emotional sense of self. Research suggests that practicing yoga over time increases the left insular volume. It also reduces anxiety, reduces pain anticipation, and increases self-regulation. I recommend watching this 5-minute video on the science of neglect from the Center on the Developing Child at Harvard University. It includes the still face paradigm that Dr. Perry describes in this chapter. In the yoga practice for this chapter, we will focus on feeling sensations of being connected to the earth, to our bodies, and even to each other. We will practice feeling sensations of grounding and lightness, pulling in and expanding out. Even though we might not see one another, we are a community. We are individuals taking the time to explore our internal states, our whole selves, so that when we engage with people in our lives, we do so in a personally meaningful way. We practice a combination of physical postures, breathing techniques, and mindfulness to facilitate bringing in sensations of balance, finding our center, our core. And this allows us to be more aware of our core values and our truth. This allows us to be more present and receptive to those with whom we interact. We will practice taking up space because we deserve the space that our bodies inhabit. Unfortunately, many people have had their personal space, their bodies, and their voices violated. This should never happen, and I'm so sorry if that's something that you have experienced. These traumas live in our bodies. Sometimes we can't move forward in life unless and until we feel and express all the stuck places, the hurt, the damaged places, the forgotten or neglected places. And in doing so, we reflect and honor the protection and survival skills that we had to use just to keep being in the world. Dr. Perry describes the dissociative response that happens when there is inescapable or unavoidable pain. Your mind dissociates to protect you from the effects of the harm. We keep practicing asanas and meditation techniques to feel the sensations of grounding and presence, along with sensations of freedom and surrender that are available within us, even in hard times. This is how we are all connected. I believe that we all seek peace. We all deserve grace. We are all biological, psychological, social, and spiritual beings. We can feel this internal connectedness, one breath, one sensation at a time. It's important to clarify that not all dissociation is harmful. It's healthy to have moments of zoning out where we reflect on the past or predict the future. Dr. Perry says that this mind wandering is essential in our relationships. Mind wandering offers a chance to be creative and use our imagination, which seems to be losing value as we're spending more time and energy on producing and usually for someone else. It's also considered healthy in times of increased focus, such as when a runner or a writer is in the zone trying to accomplish their goal. In the book, they discuss Oprah's love of reading books as her escape or dissociation for a different experience than her own. The potential harmful effect of dissociation is when a person is zoning out because they've developed a sensitized stress response system. I've talked about this in previous chapters. I won't repeat it here, but if you're interested, feel free to go back and watch these talks. With a sensitized, dissociated response system, people can develop maladaptive forms of self-regulation. And some examples discussed in the book are headbanging, cutting, hair pulling, vomiting, and being overly people-pleasing. These reactions release the body's natural painkiller hormone, opioids. A person in this situation is seeking something for self-soothing. In the yoga practice for this chapter, we will practice finding that place of being in the zone without dissociating. We will practice what it feels like in our bodies to have boundaries aligned with expansion. I'll say more about that during the practice. In closing, I think it's important to emphasize what Dr. Perry says about the brain being malleable throughout life. He says that we can change, but it needs to be intentional. It takes recognizing our patterns. This is why yoga practice is so valuable. We recognize how we stand, how we sit, how we walk, sleep, and breathe through life. This gives us information to allow us to make choices and decipher what is serving us well and what we might let go. Oprah says you start by connecting the dots. Yoga says you start by connecting body and mind. This allows us to become still enough to listen and pay attention. Then we can practice meditation. Then we can make choices, rather than unconsciously going back to old default patterns. Our brains will seek familiarity, even if it is not the best situation for us. By practicing asanas that might require a degree of challenge, we get to feel vulnerability, receptivity, and support in a safe, controlled manner and use that as feedback for our mind. Like learning anything new, this takes time, practice, and repetition. With that in mind, I hope you continue to practice with me. I will be here whenever you are ready.